Games, board games. I might be talking about board games and cookery, but I'm not gonna shout. I am going to be cooking something that hopefully will be tasting rather good. Hopefully it will be delicious food. But truth be told, my expectations aren't too high. But I guess we might as well give it a try. Making beetroot wraps, it's what I'm talking about. Making beetroot wraps, I'm not gonna shout. Hello and good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. This is Bezzy Beats and Board Game Bladder 562. And today I am going to be cooking in honor of my next Kickstarter, which is a game about quickly grabbing creatures that are totally different and counting your radishes / beetroots / turnips. I am cooking with these vegetables. I'm seeing how it goes. I'm going to see, what tastes are we getting. I'm also going to have a beetroot that I've got a couple of cooked beetroots. So these are pre-cooked beetroots. They're quite soft, and I'll try them and the two different ones, see how they differ in taste. So for now, that's basically it. Let's get on with the show. But first of all, I do want to talk about recent highlights, living life and seeing the sights. Recent highlights, playing games and other delights. Recent highlights. So what have been some of your recent highlights? My highlights, I got to walk like a wee bit, went to the bridge where the ducks are. I sent a few emails, not as many as I was hoping, but still, made some progress. I played 3 games of a game about quickly grabbing creatures that are totally different and counting your beetroots with my friend. It's lovely. And then we played 3 games of a game about drawing creatures, complementing the drawings and complementing the complements. And it was just a lovely way to have that, hey, there's one thing that we both need to have, and that one creature feature in the middle was enough to bring a bit of sharing to it. And then the complements are, you're just complimenting each other and saying nice things, and you feel good afterwards. And you don't always need to give constructive criticism. I think that's the key thing that I'm learning, that sometimes people just want to show you the cool things, so just go ahead and do the compliments. If you've got any of your own recent highlights, then please feel free to share. Otherwise, brilliant thing. What's a little thing which is brilliant? I think we've already talked about beetroots, but what I'm going to talk about specifically is tasting similar but different things. So these beetroots were 90 pence. These beetroots, you can hopefully see, they're quite smaller. These beetroots were £1.50. Now, are these actually much finer, as the name would suggest? It says they are the finest, sweet and fiery beetroots. But are they? I mean, I think just like we had a quick taste test of all the peanut butters, I think it makes sense to have a little taste test. Here's my knife for opening things. It makes sense to have a little taste test to see how much better are these beetroots in reality. Let's see. Oh, here's a tiny one. It's succulent. There's definitely a pepperiness to it. It's good. It's mellow. It's flavoursome. This is a good beetroot. Oh, let's try the other one. I'm thinking I might actually open this over the sink, so it looks like there is a lot of sauce in here. Actually, I'll try and leave it in the package if I can. So let's try just a wee bit of one of these free beetroots. These are much bigger. It looks like these ones in this little package were possibly baby beetroots. And let's now try one of these. Well, straight away you can see there's a little bit more colour. There's yeah, that is actually quite bland now I taste it. I have to admit, there is a massive difference between these two beetroots. There you go. So these ones are good. I mean, they're presumably going to still colour everything red, or presumably still going to add a bit of texture to whatever you're cooking. But it feels like if you want something to snack on, you probably want to go for these. What I'm doing is I'm going to make some wraps, which are basically mixing together beetroot, flour, water, and olive oil, leaving it to sit for 15 minutes, and then I fry it in a pan. Maybe I'll use a big pan. Here we go. Boom. In your face, relatively speaking. I'm going to make something like a small salad that can go into the middle of the wrap. I bought some radishes. I was thinking of combining it with some, maybe a bit more beetroot, so radishes and beetroot and cucumber, and maybe a bit of sauce, maybe some ginger, garlic, chili, mayonnaise in there as well. So yes, let's crack on with it. And as always, feel free to comment, ask questions, fun like follow. I am going to be doing some cooking while we chat. That is the main topic of the show, but there's plenty of potential for me to answer any questions about games, or if you've got any silly questions today, go ahead. Or indeed, if you've got any questions about a game about quickly grabbing creatures that are totally different and counting your vegetables, which is what I'll call the series of free games, which involve turnips, beetroots, and radishes. Let me quickly, so how much? 440 grams plain flour. Let's pour this into the bowl. I'm going to put up that recipe on the side of the screen so I see it. There we go. And a wee mixing bowl. Oh, gone off. Come on. Let's get turned on. Thankfully, turning on appliances is easier than turning on humans. It's starting to look like a fair bit, so I wonder if I should just make a half batch, because, I mean, that is 204 grams, and it feels like already enough, but what do you think? Should we go for a full batch? Should we go for, like a half batch? I think let's maybe, what else am I, let's go for the 400 grams, or let's go for 3/4. There we go, so that's 300 grams. The recipe calls for 400, so I'm going to divide everything else by 0.7. Multiply it by 3/4. Okay, so 170 grams of water. So that means about, what's that, times 3/4, 170, about 90, 130. So 130 grams. Oh, I slightly overdid it. I poured in 180. Didn't see that going in so quickly. Maybe I should just put in the extra flour in that case, 140. So I'll put in another 140 of flour. So we are making a full batch just because I poured in too much water. Rolling with it. Going to do okay. Okay, that's 144. That's close enough. And now 50 grams of olive oil. So press the little button to reset it to 0. And it is nice having machines count for you. As opposed to when you're grabbing beetroots or turnips and you're like, how many have I grabbed? I lost count. And it's interesting for sure how counting up to even 5 can be quite tricky if you're trying to do other things at the same time. So, going to grate a beetroot in here. Let's see how this goes. I think the recipe kind of assumes that you have a mixer, which I do not. And so, hopefully the grating will do a good enough job of getting this in there. It's definitely getting into small chunks. I'm just not sure if any of the chunks are actually going in. Might need to do a second beetroot at this rate, I think. Yeah, for sure we're needing a second beetroot. So, some people asked me, why beetroots? Why turnips? Why these root vegetables? It's a bit weird, and if someone else were to publish it, probably they'd change it, and that's possibly true, but I think the whole thing is kind of like a game of surrealism. There's these creatures with interesting looking eyes and mouths and bodies and everything, and then to have the mundanity of a turnip. I think that was just such a brilliant shout from Andrew Beardsley, who said, hey, what about turnips? And then as soon as Andrew Beardsley said turnips, everyone was smiling, because it's a little bit weird. And I think we want to see more of that non sequitur Monty Python style humor. It's like the nature of, yeah, you've got weird stuff going on, but then you've got exploding rabbits. It's kind of something taken into a new context, and I think that's the funny bit. So that is a couple of beetroots. Those are really nice beetroots, I've got to admit. Compared to the other one with a lack of flavour, these beetroots are just so good. So yeah, chucking it in. Let's see how it goes. Now, take that bowl off, and I guess I'll give it a bit of a knead. For 5 minutes, until hopefully these things will be mixed together. Oh, it's already starting to go into quite a thick consistency. Yes, I can see the red coming out of dough. It's definitely getting super sticky. Check that out. It's I almost feel like there could be more redness. I feel like maybe there could be a bit more. Like maybe I want a third beetroot in here. I don't know. But then if I've got a couple of beetroots left, that might be nice for salad. Just mix it together because I've already deviated from the recipe by putting in the one extra beetroot. So we'll see how it goes. 1550. Just going to make sure what the time is like to see how it's going. I'm getting the smells of the olive oil. That's making me think, this smells tasty. It's making me look forward to having a wee bite of it. Getting these flavors in my mouth, but obviously if I didn't know that raw flour was bad for me, I would totally have a bite of that right now. And that's the thing, like, you're always tempted to do something that's bad for you and grab the one more, grab the extra turnip card, go a little bit faster than you are maybe able to. I mean, in a game about grabbing creatures that are totally different and counting your beetroots or turnips or radishes, it's never you never have to try to be faster than everyone else. You just have to not lose. And that's the rule. Like, if you don't lose, then you win. But the person with the most cards wins the most. And so I want to make that clear, that just by getting to the end and picking up the cards and not messing up, you win. So in theory, if you were to just pick up one card and then everyone else were to mess up, you would not only win, but you would be the only winner. And there have been games where literally everyone messed up. And that's really interesting because then in those games it's a case of, well, if I'd gone more slowly, if I'd taken more time over my grabbing of stuff to check that these things are indeed totally different, then that would have been good. Oh, this is nice. It's got kind of a marbled effect. Check that out. Is that not nice looking dough? And, I'm going to try and... I'm going to wash one of my fingers so that I can touch the keyboard again. There we go. And morning, Josie. It is lovely to see you, and I hope that you're generally well. So let me get rid of this banner. That was an accident. And yes, it is Cooking with Bez. I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to be here or anything, but let me once again show you this beautiful pastry that we've just made. I think according to the recipe, I still need to knead it for another minute. So just get in there. It's got like this lovely marbly texture, and I mean, it's like, whoa, like chunk of beetroots in there, a bit of white. I'm trying to get it to mix in, but because I grated the beetroots, it's got like these little flecks which seem quite exciting. I almost want to put something extra in there, like a bit of pepper, but I'll stick to the recipe for now. Again, we'll see what happens. Okay, so yes, how is everyone? How are you today? What are you up to? What were your recent highlights? I am looking outside. There's bits of blue in the sky, which is a rarity in England. And so, yeah, it makes sense to have at least a wee bit of a walk rather than just the tiny walk that I went to the shops. But today I'm going to try and finish all the writing I have to do ahead of aircon and make sure that rules are online for when people scan the QR codes. Make sure that there's things to say, hey, here's how to demo the games, here's some information. And I'll try to make a quick questionnaire to check everyone's comfort levels. So, oh, check that out. That looks quite exciting to me. I mean, I've not made dough in years and years. I'm super excited by it. So what does it say? I think it said about, let's see if I can move it, into 10 pieces. So you want to divide this into about 10 pieces, okay? I'm going to do it somewhat scientifically with the measuring bowl. So this bowl is 737 grams, so let's make sure that each piece is about 73 grams. Wow, these are going to be really small pieces. Even that one is 91. I mean, I was expecting slightly bigger wraps. So that's 76 grams, so we want them of a similar size. Yeah, I guess these are going to be fairly small wraps. Well, again, I am trying to follow the recipe as best I can, aiming for 10 equally sized pieces. About 73 grams. It's got a tiny bit of pink. I mean, that chunk of beetroot, it's kind of lonely and it's saying, hey, I'm a big chunk and I wasn't shaved properly, but I'm still. And when you bite into this one, you know, I'm excited for this one with the chunk of beetroot in there. How's that going to turn out? Oh, and there's another wee chunk of beetroots that's a little bit bigger than the rest. Yep, I'm not sure how important it is for these to be really the same size, but yeah, first time following recipe, I want to be a bit more scientific, a bit more precise, a bit more make sure that if there's any variation, if there's something that I don't like, it's because of the recipe and not just because I did something badly. 72 grams. 77, that's close enough. And I guess these ones will divide into two. 74 and 85, fine. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Boom. So my maths was broadly correct. This does mean we probably don't need the big frying pan. It's probably a little frying pan we need. In your face, little frying pan. In your face, in your face. The little frying pan is trying to go places. Okay, so it said that I want to leave these for 15 minutes. So I guess I should. And I'll put the balls back into the bowl, and it's 25 minutes on the timer, so I'll wait until it's 40 minutes on the timer. Meantime, maybe I can make a wee bit of a salad for inside. I'm not promising anything fancy or anything good with the salad, but as always, I'll do my best. It's like game design. I mean, cooking is exactly like making a game, because you don't know how it's going to turn out exactly until you play it. Just like you don't know how the cooking's going to turn out until you taste it. But it's always worth trying. It's always worth, just getting stuck in and doing the thing. And so, yeah, whether it's cooking or baking or indeed anything else, I think it's always just worth getting stuck in and giving it a go. Yeah, I've got all these cloths that I use for wiping my hands or cleaning, and once they're a bit dirty, they just go into the washing machine. It's a nice system. Might actually drink some water. I've not had water today, so let's take a break. Have a water shake. It's not a milkshake, it's a water shake. I guess before stuff spills into it, I should also probably put the flour, once it just falls, into a cupboard somewhere. Maybe here. Okay. So what can we use for a bit of salad? Well, I'm thinking maybe a bit of tomatoes, maybe a bit of cucumber, maybe a bit of mayonnaise, maybe a bit of garlic, and potentially ginger, potentially chili, I don't know. Ooh. Potentially some spring onions, that could work. Oh, potentially some, yeah. And I've even just got the red onion that I thought might be nice as a little mix in there. So I guess what I'm trying to do here is to have something that's red, something that's fresh, something that's tasty, but also just have the achievement of, oh yes, and radishes. Can't forget radishes. So I do have radishes today. I am going to make it a radish focused thing. So, and there will be a bit of beetroot for colouring and red onions. So we've got a bit of a red theme. Let me just take out a bowl for little bits of waste, so I'm not always going to go over to the bin. So yes, Josie, absolutely. Radishes are the order of the day. Going to grab a bowl here and maybe even I'll grab this slightly bigger, fancier see-through bowl. Going to get a bit of a salad going on, but something that looks exciting. We'll see how it goes, if I'm able to pull that off. in the remaining 10 minutes as we wait for these balls to settle before I fry them up. What do you think should be in this? I'm hoping that the combination of mayonnaise and a bit of olive oil and a lemon, a typical salad sauce, and some chili and everything. I'm hoping that will make it into a fairly tasty. Give it a bit of sauce, give it a bit, help bring it together. I'm hoping that you'll have some soft crunches from this, some softness from the tomatoes, some spiciness from a bit of red onion, and a good bit of crunch from the radishes. It does occur to me that maybe with the spring onions, we don't really need a big onion at all, but I've chopped it, so I'm going to use some amount of it. Okay, so trying to get it into teeny tiny pieces. And also the red onion does work nicely in giving it all a red theme, which it's not mandatory for everything I cook to be red, but hey, it's a bonus, right? If you can get your red onions and your tomato and everything together. The end bit, it's always a bit tricky to cook. I'm going to put it on the side. Oh, unless I actually were to cook the onions in this salad, maybe that would be interesting. What do you think? Should I actually, rather than having everything raw, potentially cook the onions? That could be exciting. Let's do it. Let's bring that tiny bit back out. And yeah, the only thing that needs any cooking at all, just to make it a bit more mellow, is some red onions. So let's turn up the heat. Tiny heat for the tiny pan. I really should get more oil, but hey ho, hindsight is 2020. I do have extra virgin, although I know that's not the best one to use for the cooking. Getting these red onions in there. Where's my wooden spoon? The wooden spoon of power. Oh, so Josie says you could make a lovely quick red onion pickle. Slice thinly and pop in a small bowl and cover with balsamic or white vinegar. They are fab. No idea what the links are, it deleted. Slice thinly, put in a bowl and cover with vinegar. I did see that. Maybe roast the tomatoes. Roast them. I hadn't considered roasting. That could totally work. And if these are going to be quite soft wraps, then definitely I could imagine that. Just putting this mixture potentially in the oven for a wee bit. That's just now opened up a whole new world of possibilities. I think I'm going to stick with my... I do appreciate everything you're saying, Josie. I think I'm going to stick with just frying the onions and potentially putting the onions to cook a wee bit and then putting everything else in raw. I don't know if other people tend to do this, but I always get the green bits and I always eat them myself as I'm going along, because it feels like those green bits could definitely, because of the texture, get in the way of enjoyment of a meal. But if you're expecting them, then you're going to enjoy them a bit more. Josie, I'm not dissing the idea of roasted tomatoes. It's just that I've already got the fire going here, and I'm just thinking, like, it's just going to be a bit faster for me to pop this on. I've already got my direction. If you want to give some input, what spice do you think I should use? I'm thinking maybe coriander or cumin. We've got cumin. We've got paprika, cinnamon, oregano. Yeah, what do you think? Should we put a little bit of cumin into this mixture? Would that be good? So let me bring this down slightly so you can see what's going on. I love a spring onion sprinkled on so many things, says Josie. Yes, yes. Adds a bit of crunch, adds a bit of texture, adds a bit of firmness, adds a bit of spice. Okay, these onions that are frying, I'm going to turn down the heat. They are looking like they are starting to be caramelized. Oh, check that out. Sexy, sexy. I almost wish that I put in more onions now, that I just used the whole thing. I was kind of start. Do I have any garlic chili? Yes, I will put in garlic and chili. Absolutely. So is that a yes or a no to the cumin? Yeah. Cumin, yes or no? You decide. Let the audience decide. Have a little bit of audience interaction. I do like watching a video, but I watched this one interview recently where even in the description it said, hey, if you've got any questions, chuck them in. And the implication is that if you chuck in your questions, you will maybe get them answered. But there were so many good questions coming in and none of them were being answered, so that was a bit disappointing. No, I just think it does. I'm pouring in the tomatoes in. Hear that tomato sizzle. Was thinking you could fry off the cumin with the onions. Let's do it. Tiny bits of cumin. Okay. So we've got tomato onion mixture going on. This is kind of looking interesting. I don't know how this will be as a filling, but I'm thinking if I leave the tomatoes on a low heat, that will kind of be kind of like a bit of a salsa. And then the cucumber clearly doesn't want any cooking. I'll just put it straight into that bowl, which is left, admittedly, slightly dangerously on the gas stove. I mean, children, yeah, if you're going to put things on a gas stove, be super careful. And yeah, it is a dangerous thing to do. It's almost as dangerous as like going like this with a knife. It's like, well, everything's a calculated risk in life, whether you're crossing the road or making a game. Because it's not just about a risk to your life. Sometimes it's about a risk to your time, a risk to making. The risk is in making something terrible. The risk is in wasting your time. The risk is in wasting your ingredients. Even if you're not cooking, if you make a board game, you are probably going to have to use some paper, some cards, all sorts of things. That's a reasonable cucumber. But yes, in this instance, for whatever reason, I have decided that the risk is worth it to the risk is worth it to do the whole putting this bowl on a place where someone could start a fire, literally. I'm excited to see how red this gets. Obviously, we've got a very green cucumber. The white inside the radishes, that's going to be totally white. But we've got this tiny bit of cooked stuff that will maybe blend together the... I'm thinking that might kind of end up like a sort of sauce, I don't know. It's making it a bit saucy, ooh la la. I love how different people create different things with the same ingredients, says Josie. Yeah, that is 100% true. And because, like, and it's exactly the same with board games, it's exactly the same with dancing. I mean, with the same mechanisms, you can create totally different games. With the same inspiration, with the same concept, you can execute it in very different ways. With the same dance move, you can mix them together in very different ways. And it's little variations within the move. Of course, when you get to be part of a performance team, you ideally want some homogeneity, is the word, I think. Let's pour a little bit of that beetroot juice in there. And yeah, I'm wondering whether I should have even bothered slicing this at all, given that we've discovered that this beetroot is just not quite as good as the other beetroot. Maybe I should have just stuck to the better beetroot. Yeah, what am I doing? Life's too short. Have some... Yeah, that's just not got as much taste. It's bland. It feels like there's not so much going on. The baby beetroot, it's sweeter. It feels pickled. It feels like there's a lot of vinegar actually. Now that tasting it, I do wonder how much of it is actually the beetroot. I should probably check the ingredients in a moment. Because I assumed it was 100% beetroot, but maybe it's not at all. And now let me actually check the ingredients. Oh yes, oh wow. 98% beetroot, then white wine vinegar, sugar, salt, chili extract, olive oil. Oh wow. Whereas this one is... I think this is just beetroots. That's interesting. So, yeah, it might be that the reason for the extra flavour in these ones is purely just because of the added ingredients. That is definitely worth knowing. Wash the radishes, get them ready to chop. I'll probably keep them fairly chunky. And whoops. Gosh darn it. Skipping radishes, I'll sort that out later. Okay. For now, let's get a tiny spoon. That tastes good. strong tomato, bits of cumin, bits of onion. I think that's a good medley. I think it's going to work with everything. I'm actually quite happy with how it's going. Let's see. I do realise that why people who are doing cooking shows or even music shows always have that multi-camera setup, because it's really hard to get, hey, here's the action, here's a bit that I'm cooking, hey, here's my face. You want to ideally see both bits, right? But it's just not quite possible with the setup I currently have. Maybe one day, maybe when I get to Bangkok, I'll have an amazing multi-camera setup and I'll be regularly doing things, who knows? Or maybe I'll stop the show. Maybe it'll become a travel show. Busy Beats and Bangkok Bladder. So not even talking about board games quite as much. Who am I kidding? Like, I'm always going to talk about board games, just it's going to be a question of degree. Yeah, talking about board games, a game about drawing creatures, complimenting the drawings, and complimenting the compliments. It wasn't intended to be a two-player game. I decided to put on the instructions 3 to 5, because once you get above 5, it becomes a bit slow. It becomes exponentially longer based on the number of players, because if you think about it, with 4 players, you get 4 times 3, 12 compliments for the drawings. With 5 players, you get 20. With 6 players, you would have gotten 30, but I capped it at 5 players. Yeah, 2 players, it does actually work, but it becomes less of a game, let's say. It becomes easier, it becomes more focused on the individual, and I think that for me, the best experience is about 3, but I think that it's definitely with 2, it felt like something that you could do at a maybe drawing workshop as a warm-up, my friend said. And it definitely felt like the first time we played, we were warming up, and then the second time we played, we had better drawings, and then the third time, for whatever reason, wasn't quite as good as the second time, but all of the drawings had merit to them, and the whole everything we created, it would not have existed had it not been for us playing that. And there's a bit of joy in just drawing, self-expression, the notion that it doesn't need to be great, it doesn't need to be fit for any super specific purpose, it just needs to be matching these 4 criteria, and within that, whatever you do is up to you. So yeah, I will be interested to see how people enjoy it at TerraCon, whether people end up wanting to buy it, or because definitely it gets back to a game about wee whimsical creatures and trying to identify them after someone makes noises. It is fairly experimental, and probably one of the biggest risks is not taking experiments. Stream Elements reminds me that it's stretching time. I am not sitting down today, but I will still do a quick stretch of my legs. Stretchy, stretch, 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 stretch. Okay, that's enough stretching. Big spoon. Okay, it looks like the beetroots are going to turn things vaguely pink. I think it would need a bit more heat to actually make them red. But there is definitely a nice pinkish hue going on. Where there was green, where there was white. I mean, green is still green, but white is now kind of pinkish. Let's mix together the red onions and tomato and see how that affects things. Can we get a nice going to boom, check out that tomato. Bringing it all together, making it into almost more of a salsa type thing. I don't know. Maybe I'm overselling it, but I'm going to have another tiny taste, see how it's going. Try and get bits of everything. Not sure. It seems to be fine. Let's put in a good dollop of this red chili paste. Let's put in maybe a tiny bit of this pickled ginger. A tiny bit of, I mean that was garlic, not ginger. Now I'm putting in a tiny bit of this pickled ginger. When I say a tiny bit, I mean actually a fairly chunky bit. And I'm hoping that this doesn't turn out horrible. Okay, so it's kind of a binding agents in a sense. So we've got the mayo, the chili, and it's definitely got a solid amount of redness in there. I'm feeling good. Have put some lemon on the salad. That sometimes draws out the colour. Oh, lemon, yes, good shout. That is a thing that I definitely want. I have a lemon. So let's do this thing. Let me have another wee taste. That's definitely not bad. I am enjoying that. Yes, I am excited by this. I think that is almost certainly enough of these things. But let's get the lemon. The lemon. Let's try to catch all the seeds in this spoon if possible. What do you think, Josie? A whole lemon, a half lemon? What are we going to do? Oh, I'm super excited by this. This is, I mean, I think the chili and the mayo, it's just like a nice sauce, right? Let me mix this together and have another wee taste. Could it use more lemon? That's what's going on through my mind right now. How juicy is the lemon, asks. It's fairly juicy. I mean, it's It's also got a red bit because I didn't wash the knife since using the beetroot. Just from that moment of using the beetroot, you can see. I think I'm going to. I don't use lemons enough, so I'm going to use another squeeze of lemon in here. So I'll maybe use 3/4 of a lemon. Yeah, that feels good. And it's on a wee plate. Oh no! Ooh, that's terrible. That is incredibly disappointing. Okay, so at this point, more than 15 minutes. Have I seasoned? No, there is no salt and pepper. That is a. Oh, maybe I should put a tiny bit of salt. Also onto these. Here's a tiny bit of pepper. There, just a tiny bit. Ooh, just a little bit too, and a little bit more. Ooh, just a little bit. You know what I'm looking for? I'm looking for something which is tasty, something which has a variety of textures, something that still feels like a cohesive dish, and something that is red. That is what I am looking for. Yeah, just a little bit. And I'm going to pop some of these end bits into the fridge. See how we get on with just this amount. Don't want to turn it too green, but a nice bit of green spiciness, a bit of extra crunch over the top won't be a bad thing. And then, finally, it's time to roll our dough and make our wraps. So yes, that is the main thing, rolling the wraps and frying the wraps. That's all that is left, and then assembling the food and eating it. And just put that roughly on top. Mix it together in a wee bit. I'll pop that onto the side. Here is good. And doesn't need to be perfectly clean. So apparently I want a tiny bit of flour to help me roll it. This is the first time I've actually looked for a rolling pin, believe it or not. I don't even know if I have one. True story. I don't think I do have a rolling pin at all. That is unfortunate. Do I have anything cylindrical that could be a rolling pin? Maybe a glass. I mean, for the size that they are, I am tempted to just use one of these. Yep. Oh, a glass bottle. Oh no, but I do have a plastic bottle. If I filled up the plastic bottle with water, that would be slightly heavier. Just make sure that it's clean. I mean, they are getting fried, so it's not a super big deal. But yeah, let me see how this works. Sprinkling a little bit of flour. Fill this up. And here, my makeshift rolling pin. I do not have a glass bottle, Josie, but your words have inspired me to go with this. So boom. Maybe I needed a bit more flour, it's sticking quite a bit. This is, yeah, definitely needs a wee bit more flour on the surface, I think. Yeah, this is, okay, hopefully we can start again and make it work. Just a wee bit. Oh, this is really sticking. Oh, and there's okay, let's see, let's just start the heat and see what happens. How thin does the recipe say? They need a few millimeters in thickness. Yep. I don't think it needs to be rolled out a lot more than this. And I'm just concerned about how much it is sticking. Let's see what happens. This might be a little bit thicker than intended, but trying to sort of get it out and frying the wraps, and now I'm giving the wraps a fry. Frying the wraps. This is something that I am trying. Don't actually. Spreading it out, stretching it, seeing how it goes. Oh, that's a nice purpley red, pinky colour. Can you see that? In case you can't, here. Flour the board a lot, says Josie. I normally pop a little pile of flour to one side. I will follow your advice. Thank you for the advice. There's my little pile of flour. I'm going to get the next one ready. Oh, I should probably get the plate ready for once this is cooked. Ooh, starting to be a wee bit more solid. I think it was definitely a wee bit thicker than it should have been. I think I probably should have used a bigger frying pan. In retrospect, of course, hindsight being 2020. So what that tells me is you don't want hindsight, because if you get hindsight, that's, 2 years ago. Not a good year. Let's heat up that one so that one's ready to go once we've cooked that. Okay, now it's sticking to that, which tells me that maybe I want to flour the bottle as well. I don't know. Oh, this is, yeah, that's feeling really nice. I'm excited for this. It's coming out nice and thin. It's not sticking too much. It feels like, well, this second wrap's definitely going to be better than the first. Learning as we go, learning as we go. Every time we get along a little bit better. Okay. Let's have a taste. It's nice. It's reminds me of paratha, the kind of Indian bread that's fried, but it's got a bit more less cooked amount in the middle. That actually works. I really like the slightly less fried bits in the middle. I'm thinking probably let's move this to a medium heat rather than the wee one. Can you still? Oh, you can't see that one as well. But that one's just a better heat. I'll tell you what, I'm going to move. There we go. I can see it marginally better. I am excited for that one. It feels like it's not really a wrap, it's like a little... Right, I don't know how to... This one though, wow. I'm just... You know what, I'm going to take this off. That's done. Now, next wrap. Flour the board again. Get lots of flour on there. And then we flip it over and roll it out. Roll it out. Yeah, this feels like it's going well. Honestly, I was super intimidated by this recipe because the notion of, hey, how do I mix the beetroots? And I've not worked with flour in literally years. I was really concerned. But like Josie says, the first one's normally a wee bit worse. It's a learning process. And we're all learning together, right? Hopefully this will... I'm slightly concerned that this pan isn't really staying on straight. Is it going to get hot enough? It feels like this handle is a bit too heavy for the weight of the thing. Where's my... Yeah, everything's falling down to one side. That doesn't feel great. Ooh, this one. Let's have a taste comparison. Spread. It doesn't really have much beetroot flavour, I'm going to be honest. It's kind of... I'm really enjoying this. It just feels like a pastry, but it's not super unhealthy. I mean, we had oil, we had water and flour. I mean, I know it's not giving you loads of vitamins, but honestly, I'm really super impressed with how it's turned out. Like, I could imagine making more wraps in the future and just grating other vegetables into it. Oh yeah, check this one out. Josie's right, it is more wrap-like. Bits of flexibility, it's... Let me... Yeah, I am excited to taste this. I don't know if I can... Needs a bit more cooking. Again, I am genuinely wondering, would I have been faster off cooking it in the other pan? Let's compare the size. That size would have been slightly too big. Irritating. Oh well. It feels like... Yeah. The truth is, I don't think this is a great pan. I know a bad work person blames their tools, but there's some truth. I mean, if you don't have permanent markers, how would you expect your drawings to stay permanently? And if you don't have a pan that kind of stays straight down flush, how do you expect to actually cook things quickly and evenly? The cooking process is taking a little bit longer than I expected, and I am wondering whether this... Okay, this one, it's a lot more white. I think because of the flour that went onto it. Oof. Bit too hot. But let's... Yeah, that's the only... I wonder whether these dough balls could be used as dumplings, because then you would preserve a bit more... Oh, edge the handle of a pan up with a tin or something. Oh, good idea, Josie. You're just full of good ideas. Let me... And I do have tins, of course. That is a great idea. I'm totally not being... So let's taste the new one. It tastes very similar to the first one, but just a little bit more... It's not as flexible as I think you would want the wrap to be. So maybe there needs to be a little bit more oil mixed in. Check that out. I mean, you could do that, but then suddenly it's breaking. You see that break? Maybe I just needed to cook it a bit less. And I want to get a nicer deep red colour, but maybe that's just not going to happen. Yeah, that feels pretty good. Maybe I should take this one off. For a deeper red, swap out the water and use beetroot juice. Yeah, that would be a good idea, just getting beetroot juice. Could you hand stretch the balls like you do with traditional flatbreads? I don't know what that is. This hand stretching where you... The truth is, like, I know not that much about cookery. I do make things that people enjoy eating, but definitely got lots of terms to learn, like hand stretching. No idea what that means. So sorry, Josie, I cannot answer your question. Does that mean without the use of a rolling pin? I'm a big lover of cookery books and shows, says Josie. Oh, so I guess you've picked up a lot of tips and information along the way. Well, I feel like I should maybe lower the heat because it's not quite cooking evenly enough. So I'm going to lower the heat for the next one. This already has burnt bits, so that's coming off. Little ball of dough, little ball of dough, little ball of dough. It's nothing to do with snow. Little ball of dough, where will you go? I know that you will land into the frying pan. Little ball of dough, little ball of dough, now you are stretched. And that might make you a wrap. Yeah, these ones, they definitely feel in texture more like paratha or naan rather than wrap. I think there's something that I have to do to make them more flexible and less brittle. Josie says yes, hand stretching means no rolling pin. Was trying to find solutions to not getting them covered in flour. Hand shaping rather than rolling seemed the only solution. Oh, that's an interesting idea. Let me taste a wee bit of the previous one. Part of me wonders whether I should just leave a bunch of them uncooked, because it's going to be nicer when it's freshly cooked, right? I feel like we'll do this one, maybe one more, and then we'll leave it at that. And then I'll have the wrap with the salad, and I'll tell you how it is. So yeah, you can see this one, even though it's plain flour, it is actually rising, which is quite interesting. Now I'm looking for bottle because I'm not sure I want to drink out of that anymore, given that it's covered in flour. go there. I think that's about done. Let's make this the penultimate one. And we'll have one last little ball. Yep, let's stick with this. Let's not put any flour on it. Let's just see what happens. Also, I just realised I can do this and knock wee bits of the flour off the side. Oh, this one's looking good. Check out this colour. In the middle, that's a nice pinky red. So, what are we going to do? My plan was to try and actually wrap this salad type thing in the flatbread, but I don't think that's going to work. I think it's got to be more of a, hey, here's a salad and you're eating it with bread type of affair. But we'll see how this wrap goes. And also the final one. It might be that it's on too high a heat. So let me lower it down to a lower thing. Let me wash my hands. Washing my hands. Washing my hands. Like when you go to the beach and you've got lots of sand and you need to wash your feet so that you didn't grease because of all the sand in your feet. Okay. I am excited to be eating. This is the parts of a cooking show, I must admit, I don't envy you peeps at all, where I'm always like, oh, that looks exciting. But now, why don't I get to eat that? Like, even if you're coming on Wednesday, it's still too far away. Like, I don't feel like, I don't know, like maybe I could keep one of these balls, but I'm not going to guarantee it. But yeah, I'm excited to, check out. Yes, it's got, okay, the final one. Let's take that off. I might be using way too much oil. I mean, it might be that this is just way unhealthier than it needs to be. And it's possible that actually the better solution for cooking these might be in the oven. I'm not sure. Because baking, at least, you wouldn't need so much oil as a lubricant. That's definitely a nice thing about baking. Yep, again, it can sort of fold, but I'm not sure we're going to get a nice wrap in there. Yeah, it feels like I have failed to make a wrap. It's a really nice bread, and I'm happy with that. But is it a wrap? No, it's not. And so, yeah, let me get another plate. Another plate for my own consumption. Oh. Yeah, I will put these in the fridge for now. I'm tempted to have just a tiny bit of cheese on one of them. I see a tiny bit of cheese, but I'm aware that that's actually quite a bit. So are we done? Does this look cooked? And that's the thing, like with baking, with frying, it's always a case of, hey, what is this meant to look like? I have no idea. It's exactly the same with making a new game. Like sometimes when you are making a new game and you might start off thinking that it's meant to be one thing, but then you think about it for a while. And whilst you're in that sort of exploration phase of your design, you realize, hey, wait a minute. Actually, that's not what you meant to do at all. Oof. Let me actually open this a bit wider because I see that moving in smoke. I will be back in just 30 seconds. Yeah, I looked across into the living room and I was thinking, whoa, there's so much smoke there. That's not good. I should probably make sure that there's a window open on both sides. There we go. Let's turn that off and let's eat. Okay, the moment of truth. Let me have the penultimate one and then the final one. So, this is the wrap that I need, the so-called wrap. This is the salad. So remember, the redness here is from beetroot, but also from tomato, but also chili paste. That's being around. I'm going to, knowing that this wrap is going to fold at most once, we're going with this. This is how I'm going to eat it. And I like it. It's marginally awkward to eat, I'm going to be honest. There's a good amount of flavors. The sauce tastes nice to me. I feel like the wrap could have been more evenly cooked. It's a nice amount of crunchiness. Yeah, I'm getting the beetroot. I'm getting the cucumber. the mayonnaise, the bread. Once again, the bread to me is far more like an Indian paratha than a wrap. Look at that sauce dripping out. It's like a badly made kebab with all the sauce going everywhere. Would I make it again? Maybe. If only because I bought, I believe, a kilo of flour and I used about 500 grams of it. So I've got more flour to use. But the wrap itself is definitely not the healthiest thing. I used so much oil, like this was practically full before, and look how empty it is now. 750 milliliters for the record. There's a good taste of spiciness. I'll be interested to get a second opinion. There's a good amount going on in this salad. I'm enjoying this. So yeah, I think it is probably time to start finishing up Kickstarter. As always, I assume you have, but just in case you haven't, please do go here to this link and sign up to the page. It really does help. And if you're part of a board game group, maybe consider telling people that it's about to launch soon, but make sure that it's within the board game group's rules. It's like Board Game Trading and Chat UK. Don't do it there, but pretty much anywhere else. You know, if you know anyone else who might enjoy it, then please share on Twitter or whatever. But obviously, the day one is the bit that really matters. Let's go to question of the day. Let me ask a question before we go on our way. So my question of the day is being inspired by the fact that it's not really a wrap. I mean, it is able to fold and still retain some structural integrity, but it's more of a paratha. When was the last time that you made something that didn't quite work out the way you expected? But maybe it's not worse. It's maybe not better, but it's just different, and you need to realign your expectations. When was the last time you had to do that? To realign your expectations? Except for just now, I think my last time was yesterday, when I was hoping to be able to walk around and do more adventuring, but legs are hurting and was a wee bit tired and yesterday, and just, I mean, obviously that's not great, but then it's like, hey, we can still do things together. We can still play a game. I can still do bits and bobs, and it's like a case of realigning your expectations. When was the last time you had to realign your expectations? Before we finish up, I want to try this final wrap. Let's see if this final wrap is a bit more wrappy. Okay, so Let's see. Still a bit firm, but there is definitely a potential for wrapping. And I completely forgot to take a wee photo for my I'm doing this diet thing where I try and record all the things that I eat. It's just about mindfulness. It doesn't mean that I eat less intrinsically. Josie says the last time for them was bringing home a camper van and it broke down. Oof. So how did that end up working? So check it out. It's kind of like a taco, right? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. A good chunk of the spice and the flavours that are going on in the salad. Again, it might not be the healthiest because the mayonnaise, like obviously, has a tiny bits of sugar in it, and the fats and whatnot, but and the oil and everything. But this is a messy eat, but oh my god, it's delicious. Look at that. All the flavours of so many veg. It's not the best thing ever, that's not what I'm saying, but I am really proud of this. It's just dripping out. Josie says, had been expecting a break for the van, but nope. Another month of waiting. Not sure what you mean there. But let's go over to you. What are you up to? You can share, but only if you want to. What you're up to today? Is there anything you want to say? Whether it's fun and frivolous, super serious, something you're excited for, something you adore, something you fear, something you hold dear, something you're just special for today, or something you do almost every day. Let me know. Feel free to share. I promise that I care. Oh my gosh. The second one, wow. Really enjoying that. Josie means like as in they were expecting a break, a vacation, a holiday in the van. But nope. They had to wait for another month, and I guess, you had to work out what you were going to do for that month and maybe having a staycation and hopefully having a not too bad time at your own home. There's worse places to be, at least you managed to get home. But yes, talking about what we're up to, I'm going to be finishing emailing all the media people, writing down a quick questionnaire to send out to everyone who's helping me, writing down a little thing of, hey, here's some tips for demoing these games, and then finally, drawing. And also, I will spend a wee bit of time with a friend, maybe have a wee bit of a walk at some point. Josie is off with the gaming group today, meeting at 2 p.m. for games, but at 1 p.m. for pancakes. Amazing. That does sound genuinely fantastic. Are we talking sweet pancakes? Having a final run-through of teaching the Bessie bargain bags. Well, I hope that it goes well, and I hope that you are enjoying them. There's so many flavors. Wow. I'm really enjoying this salad. The radish doesn't taste so much, but it kind of carries the flavour of everything else. It's being quite porous, it seeps in all the flavours. Anyway, Josie, I hope you have a wonderful time of gaming. I hope you have a lovely day. My group loves them, says Josie. So expect sales at Dicini. Great. And let's recap and wrap up before we finish up. So today I made wraps. So I started off with these little dough balls, and these dough balls, which are basically just flour, water, oil, and a bit of grated beetroot. And then I let them sit. Meanwhile, I made this thing with tomatoes, radishes, cucumbers, beetroot, and a whole bunch of different sauces. And the tomatoes and red onions I gave a little bit of a fry. I cooked the bread. I was quite surprised how much it was like paraffin rather than a wrap. And obviously anything can be compared to board games. So that was everything for today. If you want to check me out, then I am Stuff by Bez. As always, everywhere. If you want to check out my future streams, stuffbybez.com/streams. Please do share and spread the word. I do appreciate you taking my games around and sharing and spreading the words of that. I want to say thank you, Josie, for coming along and keeping me company. There's not much more to say other than lots of love and bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go to bye, 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 bye. This is the goodbye song. Bye, 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 bye. Thank you for watching along. Bye, 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 bye. This is the end of the show. Bye, 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 bye. And now it's time to go. Bye, bye, Josie. Bye, bye, Xate. You missed the cooking show. But lots of love, and I hope that everyone's well. Bye-bye, and see you all soon. Bye-bye.